Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. So today I want to flesh out all my ideas about this space and time and extension and all of that. I want to flesh it out more in this video. So my task is this: what is really going on in space? What is that? So I want to start my inquiry by thinking about something. Okay, I want to do thinking about something. So the only thing that's eluded me so far about this whole space thing is the idea of what is space itself. Notice what I'm not saying. I'm not saying what are the things that are extended in space. What is space? What is this thing around me? I'm not talking about the particles. Where are they located? Do you understand? That is the question that really bothers me. I want to know that. So I created a scenario. Imagine you're in a room that has four sides, okay? Four-sided room. So you are inside that room, okay? So you can move about in the space of that room. Do you see? We are using space. We are using language like space. We are using language like in. You're in the space of a room with four sides. Do you see? So what is the space exactly? Is space something that is empty, or is space a thing itself? Okay, so that's the question. So what we're going to do is this. In the room, there are many things there. You are there. There are all the particles in that room. We remove them. Remove all the particles, all the gas, all the water, all the solids. Remove everything that has extension, that is material. We remove all of them from the room. Now we have nothing in the room. Okay, we have nothing in that room. We remove absolutely everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? We remove absolutely everything. Don't tell me there's still something there. Whatever it is, we are not doing science like you guys are doing. We are talking about modality here, possibility. Is it possible to remove? We are not talking about if we can even do it. Do you understand? We are trying to think here. We are not trying to talk about that's nonsense science, man. That's why modern science is boring and it blocks people from thinking. Anyway, as I was saying, we remove everything, absolutely everything that is in there, that has extension, that is material. We remove all of them. What are we left with? We should be left with empty space in between the four rooms. Okay, so you have four-sided room. Then my question is this: we remove the four sides, the four walls that makes that thing a cube. We remove all the sides. Now what do we have here? What is that? Does he spill into something else? Or okay, I want to say this is beyond, is impossible. Fine, I grant you that. But before we even remove the walls, what is inside that four-sided wall now? What is that? It seems to be something that something can enter and move about in it. It seems to be something that like I said, you can move in it. It seems to be something that has dimension. So we are asking the question: is it material or immaterial? That thing that is left, is it material or immaterial? It is either any of the two. If it is material, then that explains the extension that it has. It explains that it has extension. Because remember, anything material is just, it has extension. It's a body, it has extension. Now, if it is not material, because we already removed everything, if it is not material, then what is that? What is that? And something that is immaterial, but somehow has extension. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Right? It's weird. Okay? So what we are left with is acknowledging that there's something, because we already removed everything. Is it that thing that is left, is it that is a thing itself, like a body, material, substance, or it is an immaterial thing? If it is immaterial, then it shouldn't have extension. We should have nothing. The four walls should just disappear because there's nothing there. But why is the wall still there? It's probably because there's something in there, and that thing is a material. Is material something? Fine. So that was all you call the fabric. The fabric that is also material. Then now, how do you explain what's it called? How do you explain things? Let's bring the things back now. We already established a material there is a material that is like the fabric. Now, the next question is, are things on that fabric? Like imagine like a flat paper, and then I put a ball on the paper. Is that what is going on? Is that the relationship between us and the space and this fabric? Are we on the fabric? Or are we in the fabric? Or are we a part of the fabric? Those are the three questions we're going to ask. The first one is, are we on the fabric? If we are on the fabric, imagine you have like the fabric flat, and then you put a ball on the fabric. The question is, you see that the ball extends upwards, away from the fabric. Then the same question applies. What is that thing that is extending into? The ball is extending into something that is, because you said it is on the fabric, so it's going to extend outside of it. Okay? Imagine a ball rolling on the floor. You see, the ball is in the air, like it's in space, and it's touching the ball with a part of it, right? That's what's going on, right? If you throw the ball up, then it's not on the floor anymore. It's not on that fabric. So you see where I'm getting that idea from. Now, the second possibility is to say that somehow the ball is, the fabric encircles, we are in the fabric, in the sense that we are encircled by the, is this a circle? Yeah. We are like the room, like the four walls, we are closed in by the fabric. You see, that's the second option. But that one doesn't solve the problem too, because it's either it closes us off perfectly such that we cannot move. Because if it closes us and we can still move inside that enclosure, then the same problem still applies. What is that? What are we moving inside of? Are we not supposed to be, is the fabric not supposed to be the thing that is supposed to explain that? Now we've already established that the fabric is like the wall, the four walls that we started with. Then we need to explain what is inside that too. That's the issue with these first two options. The last option is to say that we are somehow a part of the fabric. If we are a part of the fabric, then we don't need to explain what is outside of the fabric anymore, because that's it. The fabric is what it is what exists. The fabric exists. We don't need to explain what is above the fabric, there's nothing there. All of them are immaterial. The only things that matter are the material things that have extension. Now, the next question is this. If that is true, if we are a part of the fabric, then you should have like monism. You have monism. There's only one material slab of thing that exists. Now, the problem with this one is that, how do you explain motion? How do you explain movement? If the entire fabric is filled up with things, because there is no way to have a gap, because that gap, you have to explain that gap. What is that gap? There is no gap. It's filled up. It's like a thing. The fabric is not some particles that join together. It's supposed to be like the thing itself. Do you understand? Like, so now, how do you explain motion? Because motion is like, there has to be a change in position between two things. Like there has to be some displacement. Okay? So if we are a part of it, we are thinking about material stuff now. It's not some this thing is material stuff. How can you move from one place to another? To move from the position you are in already to another position, you have to displace what is already in that position. Now, if you're going to displace that one, where is it going to go? Where is that thing going to go? The thing you're displacing, if there's nothing outside, it's infinitely packed. You cannot go outside of that. So that is impossible. You can't move. You cannot move an inch. In fact, you are a part of it. It's not even, you are a part of it. How can you even talk about moving if you are a part of something? Do you understand? Like, it's impossible to move. There is no gap. If there's no gap, how can you move into somewhere that there's nothing there? So that one seems to show like every movement is illusory. If we take that view, every movement becomes illusory. You cannot move. It's an illusion. Everything is, so change is an illusion. And this seems to be like the views. You remember the Greeks, Zeno, and all those guys? Parmenides and Heraclitus, the argument about this thing. If you take the view of that we are a part of the slab, then somehow we are space, okay, and therefore change is illusory. It's impossible. But that seems counterintuitive. We seem to experience change and all of that. So how do you explain that one? So that's why every view you take, it has some kind of problems, right? Ultimately, you realize that people actually don't know what they're talking about. In my own opinion, most people have no idea what they're talking about. They're just dogmatists. They cannot explain things. They will try to stop you from thinking about possibility, like we did here. They will want to stop at somewhere, and then people later come and go further than that, just like they did with the atoms. Oh, it's indivisible, and then someone divides it, and it's like, now it's indivisible. It doesn't make sense to divide further, and then someone comes and divides it. That's just nonsense, man. We don't want to waste our time with this process of saying it's indivisible, and then someone divides it. Some people be like, it's infinitely divisible. It's infinitely divisible. There is no point where you can say you can't divide further, because that point when you say you can't divide further is until there is no extension whatsoever. Pay attention to what I just said. The only time you can say that you can't divide further is when there is no extension. As long as there is extension, it is mathematically possible to divide further. Maybe you don't have the tools to do it, but as long as it is there, don't ever say it is impossible to divide further. You don't have the tools to divide it further. You don't have the power to divide it further, but it is divisible. The only time, and see why I'm talking about Leibniz, why I appreciate Leibniz and those guys, they think about possibility. They're not just doing science like the way these guys do, these God haters. They don't know what they're doing. So look at what Leibniz said. He came to the conclusion that, is that something that has extension or it doesn't? If it has extension, it is material. If it doesn't have extension, it is immaterial. Okay? Do you want to believe in something immaterial? Oh, these God haters. They don't want to believe in anything immaterial. They are so scared of it. But there are many things they believe that is immaterial. Forces and all these things. They're immaterial things. But that's not our point here. What I'm showing you is this. If you continue dividing something, you will get to a point where it is either when you divide it, the last time you divide it, go an infinite amount, is going to become nothing. Okay? No more extension. If you divide it beyond the extension, then it becomes immaterial. It becomes immaterial. It becomes nothing. And nothing and immaterial, they are very close actually. They have a close relationship. Okay? Because immaterial is actually, to me, is metaphysical. To say that, if you want to say that there's something that has no extensions, you cannot perceive it in the sense that it doesn't have extension in space, and somehow it does exist. To me, that's metaphysics. That's metaphysics, because it's as close as saying nothing is slapping me right now. You know, if you say if an immaterial thing slaps you, it's just as like nothing is slapping you, right? But if you're a metaphysician, believe in metaphysics, then it's okay for you to say, because you believe immaterial things exist. But if you want to be like all these materialists, then you can't say that. So anyway, you see what Leibniz did there. He said that you would divide. We go to the end. We don't like imagine the smallest thing in the time of the Greeks was a mustard seed, and they were wondering like, if mustard seed has no weight, how can adding more things that have no weight suddenly make a sound in a bag? He's surprised, like, what is that? Do you get? Because to them, they think mustard seed is the smallest indivisible thing you can get. But then we realize that, bro, mustard seed has a weight, man. But you guys couldn't measure it. And guess what? It's composed of many other things that are smaller than that. Then we go further and we examine those things too. And then some people will come and say, we can divide further. And then they get proved wrong again. And why should the next person that comes and say you can divide further, why should you believe that guy? Why? There is no reason to believe that guy. Why should I believe him? Because someone can just come later and divide it further. That's the trend that seems to be going on. But the point I'm focusing on is this very crucial, important thing. Leibniz He's my teacher, man. He made me understand this point. The simplicity of the way those guys were thinking in the past is different from these God haters. Look at even Newton, Isaac Newton. He was looking for the vital force of the entire universe. That thing that gives life. He's trying to find that force. But they blocked that part of him. They blocked the side of him that is the real science of him. He's not someone that just wants to show mathematics. These were people thinking about reality, I would argue. Okay? But the point is this. Look at what Leibniz did there. He went to the end of the line. He said, if you continue dividing these things, it's infinitely divisible, like Descartes said. But the problem is this. Why don't we just say, we go to the end of it? The end of the line, you stop at something that is material, that still has extension, which is contradictory, because if it has extension, it is divisible. This individual said, you know what? When we get to the end of the line, we don't get anything. We don't get extension. We get no extension. That's what makes the most sense. To get no extension. Now, that thing that has no extension, therefore, it is immaterial. It is not material. So now, his own problem is this. How can immaterial things compose? It's like, remember that question of how does mustard seed that has no weight, supposedly, make a sound when you put a lot of them together? How come they have a weight now? So the question is, how can something that has no extension suddenly form something that has extension? Or suddenly becomes a thing, becomes material? How can immateriality become material? That's the problem. Okay, that's the problem he has. But his own view is much more consistent, because either you want to go infinitely amounts and you continue to go forever and ever, okay, or you stop at somewhere. Though most people stop at somewhere, but they stop at the atom. This individual, he stopped at immateriality, and now he has another way of explaining everything, which it will seem to be like is illusory. Anyway, it's going to be like to me, because he's going to start talking about some fundamental immaterial things that somehow we only perceive them as material because there's some kind of awareness that's going on between them and then forms a fabric, which is actually ingenious. It's smart. You cannot say Leibniz doesn't know what he's talking about. To me, he's a very smart individual. Forget whatever you want to say. So, thinking about all of this makes me realize that all this science, all these things I've been taught so many things. I have no idea what they were teaching me. I just wanted to pass the exam. They were not teaching me real things. They were just teaching me I wasn't thinking about them. I don't know why these things have been taught. Albers principle, Ohm's rule, how to arrange this thing. What is all of that nonsense? When you could have taught me simple metaphysics, simple modalities that would have helped me think of myself, my own, like possibility, what is possible. I was taught calculus all my life. I never understood it until now. That they were talking about infinity, how important infinity is, and limits. It was there, but I didn't know why it was there. They were just showing me this one goes to 0. And I don't know that. I just know how to solve 3x squared equals to 6x. That's all. And all this complicated stuff, because there's even a short time you have to pass. You cannot waste your time contemplating these things. But anyway, that's for another video. What I'm showing here is this. It seems to be that we don't understand what space is and all of this. And I'm trying to understand that maybe, there's now another theory about this actually. That there's some kind of force that binds separate particles together. So now let's imagine you have particles. These particles are separate, meaning there's a gap between them. Remember I said, how can you explain gaps? Now this theory is going to explain gaps. Guess what this thing that explains gaps is? You know what it is? It is energy. Energy and force. That's what binds everything together. Look at that. So energy is the fabric. Some people are like, why don't you just reduce everything to energy then? At the most fundamental level, even you are energy. That is just complex. But at the most fundamental level, there's a continuous slab or fabric of energy. And now, remember, look at what I just said there. A slab of energy. Energy is supposed to be immaterial. Energy doesn't have extension. Forces don't have extension. They're supposed to be immaterial things. So how can the fabric of the material world be something immaterial? Something immaterial, force and energy. What is that? What is that force and energy? You let me call you guys useless. You guys are weird, man. Why are you doing like that? Why are you not real? Like Leibniz and Newton and the Greeks and the people of Kalam, the Islamic Golden Age scientists. Why are you guys not real like that? Why are you saying rubbish? Yeah? Why are you saying nonsense? And not explaining things. What is energy? You have no idea what it is. Okay? You don't know what is energy. It's not part of something you can, what's it called? You can't explain something like that, immaterial, and somehow it has effect on the material. And when Descartes, when he separated the mind and the body, and you started bashing him when he had problem of how does the mind influence the body, or the body influence the mind, and he couldn't solve it really, because he had to make that separation for consciousness and everything. And remember, even Descartes, before all his Leibniz, he already said, like, a body has its own essence, is extension, and the mind's essence is consciousness. So he made that distinction. If a body's essence is extension, it cannot have consciousness. Therefore, all these stones and all these things, they have no consciousness. And he couldn't show the relationship between them. To me, all he needed to just do is that the material, immaterial, somehow influences the material. That's what somehow he does it. Just like you guys believe energy and force somehow binds material things together. Why they are immaterial? Because I will check that. Is energy material? Are forces material? No, they are not. Then how do they exist? How are they functioning? How are they working in the world? You see, we believe in God, you think we don't know what we're doing. You see, you have no answers. You just go off and say, see, this is not about religion. This is about what do you have? How do you explain these things? You just say they exist. Fine. But when we postulate some things and you are like making it seem as if you know better, you don't. You don't know better than Leibniz. He believed in God. However he wanted to do it. You don't believe, you're not smarter than Descartes. He believed in God or Newton. And these people, they don't think like you guys, like, yeah, there's no God, and all your rhetoric is about, ghost. Do you know what is a ghost? Let me show you a ghost. Energy. It's a ghost. It's immaterial. You cannot see it, but somehow it's working. It's somewhere. Energy is a ghost. Forces are ghosts. Fields are ghosts. You want to talk about ghosts? That's your ghost. You can't show me. Okay? It's like I take you to a room and I show you chairs moving. And I tell you there's a ghost there. And you're like, no, there's no ghost there. I can explain this. No, you can't. Would you believe ghosts then? Just like energy is doing things and forces are binding things and moving things without you seeing them. All you see is like bodies and correlations. Remember David Hume talking about correlation and stuff. So anyway, look at all this stuff, man. I think about these things now, like I can engage, I can participate in this inquiry together. I'm not just going to take something from you. You don't have anything better than I do. All someone needs is perception and thinking as a human being. All you need is the ability to use your brain, like to sense things and to try to reason. Do you know what's sharper than any material? Your mind. How can I prove that? Your hands, when they start cutting papers into two, to get to a point where your hand cannot cut it anymore. It has reached its limit. Your mind can go further than that. It can go to the end of the line and complete the task of cutting. That's what philosophers have done. They've already gone to the end of the line. You are still wondering, how can we build a nuclear reactor that is going to cut? Fine, and do that. You create atomic bombs and destroy everybody, but continue doing that, cutting stuff. We already went to the end of the line. Do you understand? We are really talking about, so at the end of the day, what's going to happen when we get to the end? Is there an end or there's no end? If there's an end, do we find something material or there's nothing material? That's what we want to talk about. We don't want to be talking about how can we cut? No. You might learn some things here and there, but at the end of the day, you'll still be left with the same problems. So anyway, I think I'm done with this video. I just wanted to share this. These are some of my views on these issues. I'm still stuck at the people of the past, the Greeks, Democritus, at the Islamic golden age. I'm still stuck in that place. I'm still stuck with Descartes and Leibniz. Okay? I'm still stuck with John Locke and these people. Like Kierkegaard said when in one of his work, that I'm still stuck at Abraham. So at the end of the day, allow me to think. You do not have any answers. All you have is this guy said and that guy said. Einstein said this and this guy said that. You have no answers for me. Or at least keep your answers to yourself. Let me think about it on my own. And when I have questions, I'm going to ask you. Okay? Then I'll see if you can answer my question. Because now I will know what is a good answer. I'll not be dogmatic and just take whatever you say, like you've been doing to me in academia for a decade, not in a decade of my life. Anyway, let me see what you guys think in the comment section. See you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.